All right. Yeah, you can see new severe thunderstorm warning here in St. Louis County, and this impacts the area, really the central corridor here of St. Louis County. With this warning that's in effect now, this is one of the stronger cores that we've seen go up today. There's another one that's really right out over the radar site, but we get you in close. That part of the storm from North County is now basically merging with the cells, if you will, across West St. Louis County, the cells that were back into Chesterfield now. Those outflows have come together and they are merging together here in West St. Louis County, and that includes around Maryland Heights, where we are getting some reports of around 40-mile-per-hour winds, and obviously you would expect that to really result in a significant slowdown in that area right now. There's a look in the Chesterfield Valley. Those are the storms that are actually back into St. Charles County right now. Let's get you a view of what the storms look like here over the area where the warning was just put up. And this is from 100 above the park. That's the area just west of Clayton, and that's included in that severe thunderstorm warning that's now in effect. That severe thunderstorm warning is going to be in effect for until what? 4 o'clock? Yeah, 4 o'clock for this one that includes central portions of St. Louis County. Basically, it's from about River to Pear on to the west, going through U-City. It does include St. John. It includes St. Anne, but I think your strongest winds would most likely end up being around Creve Coeur and Frontenac with this, maybe getting into De Pere once this thing starts to collapse. And we also have that other storm that's actually developing right over Weldon Spring right now, and then along Highway 94 up through Harvester and heading right on into St. Charles near the Family Arena, and that likely is producing some 40 to 50 mile per hour winds too. So when this cell collapses here that is right over Creve Coeur and the area around Olivet, we can expect to see some pretty good wind gusts in there that'll be roughly 50 to 60 miles per hour as that storm comes down. And so really the area we're most concerned about for the potential of those stronger winds would be in this area here, Overland, University City, where it's not raining over most of University City. It hasn't been raining as much as, getting back into Overland and back towards Lindbergh, where the rain really definitely ramps up in those areas. But you're not only looking at a lot of torrential rain in here, you're probably looking at some 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts. And then I think what we're going to end up seeing here, as this collapses, we'll end up with the stronger winds over a 10 or 15 minute period that may be 50 to 60 miles per hour. So this is the area we're really watching here. The area really going from Hanley Hills back out to the west, out near the airport. Those showers and thunderstorms are continuing to develop at this point and will likely continue to do so. Just kind of pulsing this afternoon. That's what we call it, pulsing. When they pulse up, they become strong to severe, and then they tend to weaken somewhat. These storms out in St. Charles County don't have a warning on them, but certainly they are intense too. And again, we're looking at cells coming together and merging, and when that happens, of course, that potentially always does cause some problems. So that's something that we'll be dealing with here as we continue through the course of the evening hours. So these storms have prompted a severe thunderstorm warning in St. Louis County. We also had that flash flood warning up in Montgomery County, Illinois, and that's for the earlier storm that, actually there's still some rumbling going on just off to the east of Litchfield, but there for a while we were looking at a good 1.5 to 2 inches of rain. In fact, in Delwood, when these storms rolled through the Delwood area in North County as they pushed off to the south and west, we saw over 1.5 inches of rain in Delwood. So definitely dealing with that. Strongest winds do appear to be in the Maryland Heights area right now. If we pop this onto the velocity mode, you really can see exactly what we're talking about here. Here's your area where we have the downburst, and really Yeah, the flights are, Jim tells me the flights are being delayed out of Lambert, which would, be logical because you obviously have intense thunderstorms in and around the area. We're looking there, it's showing us winds, maybe about 40 to 50 miles per hour with this. They could be a little bit stronger. Some of them, as we go out here across the Missouri River, they're showing 35 to 40 miles per hour too. So we definitely have the signatures of a downburst on here. Now, the question then becomes, with those downburst signatures, are we looking at strong enough winds to actually be severe winds? We know we've got the downburst signatures out there. And there's your live look right now at that storm that's back towards University City, back out in towards Maryland Heights, Olivet. This is looking live from 100 above the park. Little lightning just popped in there. So these scattered showers and thunderstorms have been bubbling up across the area this afternoon, fueled by the heat and humidity. Temperatures have been in the low and mid 90s. The heat index values have again today been above 100 degrees. And so far, it seems like the strongest storms, for the most part, have been pretty close to the metro area. And right now, we're getting a drenching rain all the way from downtown St. Charles to Defiance in St. Charles County, really all along the Missouri River. And then the storms are merging right now at the Blanchette Bridge and stretching across the river in through Maryland Heights and moving into Olivet and Creve Coeur with the extreme rain at this point. So, it really is a rather turbulent time here looking out to the west of the city proper. Now, as we take you here on another little trek, we're going to see how the dark skies look. This is St. Charles County, and you can see how intense that is right now. Dark skies here, looking from St. Charles County into St. Louis County. That's the Blanchette Bridge. That's the northern fringes of where the heaviest rain is being reported at this hour. And you can see those storms right now. Rough ride across the Blanchette Bridge, a rough ride across the Veterans Memorial Bridge there, Page Avenue Extension. Here's the Chesterfield Skycam, and as you head towards the Missouri River, the visibility drops way off there. So we're thinking the winds are around 50 miles per hour with the core of these storms, maybe a little stronger than that. The severe thunderstorm warning is for the potential of winds at 58 miles per hour or higher, and that potential certainly does exist here across St. Louis County, and that's why we have the severe thunderstorm warning from about Bridgeton down through to Pear along 270, out 4064 to about the valley, and from the city line. So, 50 to 60 mile per hour winds showing up here. And I think you're going to continue to see this storm producing those gusty winds in and around northwest and western portions of St. Louis County during the course of the next hour or so as they continue to slip on in. I'm going to check the power outages here real fast while you look at the map, just to kind of get a quick look, baseline of what we got going here. We have just under 1,000 customers without power in St. Louis County and 49 in St. Charles County. So that's, now Gasconade County has 414 out. There's only not even 8,000 tracked out there. So, we'll watch those numbers and see if they jump up, because that's always a good indication of what we're dealing with when it comes to how strong these storms are. Once we start seeing 58, 60, 62, 63 mile per hour winds, that's the potential then that we start to deal with, damage and the problem that we might see some power outages and the number of them increase. Right now, it's a very limited amount of power outages across the area. And because it's a limited amount of power outages across the area, that lends us to believe that so far, we really haven't seen widespread severe weather, but we do think there are pockets where we are looking at these storms that are producing 50 to 60. And again, as you just kind of glance at this, I'm going to put this on for all of these. And let's just do that. All right, as you look at this and you see those storms merging together there out into West St. Louis County and back into St. Charles County, as they come together, the winds get enhanced by those storms, and then when they start to collapse, you end up with the strong winds reaching the surface. And what we're looking at here is there's an indication right here in St. Charles County potentially of some downburst action going on, and also here in Maryland Heights. And really out along the Page Avenue extension, and then Highway 94 and to the east of Highway 94, that's going to be in the Harvester area where we would be looking at some of those stronger winds. Looks like the strongest of them really right now are pretty close to this area near Creve Coeur Park, perhaps just a little east of Creve Coeur Park right now. And you can see, I'm not going to go with those the bright colors right there in the center. That seems to be a little much. That's showing 62 miles per hour, and right beside it 38. That's probably a little on the high side, but I'm thinking you've got 50 to 60 mile per hour winds potentially in here for sure. When you get into this kind of scenario, you get these winds coming down when the storm starts to collapse. And as we're looking at these storms, they're really the biggest area impacted here is in St. Louis County at this point, and especially West St. Louis County. So as you look right now, the action here is kind of focused from St. Charles County and out along Highway 40, 64, and then up along Interstate 70. And we are getting tremendous amounts of rain in this area. I would not be surprised if you pull up, some spots in here get an inch of rain in, 30 minutes and just keep adding to it. So I'm just looking at the power outages, and I don't have anything that changed on those numbers here with these storms, and that's always a good sign. It updates about every 10, 15 minutes or so. So with that in mind, that's a good thing. But we continue to track these storms. And as you notice, you can look at this, you can say, well, they don't look like they're moving a lot. No, they're really not. They're kind of drifting into each other, redeveloping as the outflow from one collapsing storm intersects with another. So there's going to be some significant standing water here. In fact, we're already hearing that. A lot of standing water in the fast lane of 270 southbound and the northbound lanes at Dorset. So you've got to deal with this as the evening, for the next hour or so, until this thing kind of cools off. So a lot of heavy rainfall. I think you could find some spots with 1 to 2 inches of rain pretty quickly out of this, especially since up in Delwood, we ended up with 1.6, Weather Spotter in Delwood reporting 1.6 inches of rain, and that was in about an hour's time. And now you have the heavy rain stretching along 170, really just west of the Del Mar Loop, going back into Overland, through Creve Coeur. You're going out Olive here, you're going out Page, even through Del Mar. You're looking at some of this going farther to the west. And you really pick it up going out into St. Charles County. Over the Family Arena right now, just a drenching rain. That stretches down towards Greens Bottom Road and then back into the valley with some of that heavy rainfall occurring right now. So this is all kind of just merging over the metro area. Our biggest threat is going to be for a few areas briefly to see will briefly see some wind gusts And I think it's going to be few. I don't think we're going to see a widespread swath, huge swath of damage. I think it's going to be very localized, where you get those 50 to 60 mile per hour winds. And most likely that's going to be in the area where there's the severe thunderstorm warning here in West St. Louis County. We're talking basically the Parkway School District and parts of the Pattonville School District, and even into Hazelwood, where the worst of this is. Generally west of Lindbergh, could include some of the Ladue School District too, but the kids getting out of school in a lot of cases now, this is not the bus ride you want home. It's going to be a little slower than normal this afternoon. But as you see, the cell's kind of merging and evolving here right over the heart of the St. Louis area. So a severe thunderstorm warning continues right now, and that warning is in effect for St. Louis County, west of the city, basically right from the Galleria, going westbound. It stops at about the Chesterfield Mall, not to say you won't get some gusty winds in the Chesterfield Mall. There are still areas that we have greater concerns, and those areas are, generally speaking, in St. Louis County, where things are looking a little more impressive at the moment. So we pop on the velocity back here again. This is the estimated wind, and you can kind of get the gist of it here. Got another area where some of that wind's a little bit enhanced here. This is along and east of 94 in St. Charles County, and then you've got the area that's out pretty close to Creve Coeur Lake. So you're talking about through Harvester here, near the Family Arena, and then over towards Creve Coeur Park and the YMCA that's there in Maryland Heights, and even up along 270 here, where you've got the Maryland Heights complex, all of the beautiful, yeah, Ameren's, is that what they're saying? Yeah. Okay, so just west of 270, west of Maryland Heights. So Jimmy's here with me. He was checking on the power numbers, and so yeah, St. Louis County just actually bumped up to 1,800. St. Charles is still 44. So, you know, St. Louis County and Ameren now with 1,800 out. Now, there were about 700 out a few minutes ago. So, if we kind of slice through this storm and just look at see how tall this thing is. You know, they're about 25 to 30,000 feet tall. They're not as tall as some storms that we've seen. You do get, but you can see how, you know, there's good heavy rain in there. And when you've got that much rain, you're water loading the storms. And when you've got that much rain, basically, when that cell collapses, when the updraft and the downdraft of the storm really takes over, it just sends a whole bunch of air rushing to the ground, and that's where we end up getting our damage. So we are seeing at this point across the area, you know, severe thunderstorms, strong to severe thunderstorms. And we're going to continue to monitor those. The biggest threat looks like to be some localized gusty winds. You got a lot of lightning with these storms too. We just add that on there, and you can see it is noisy for sure. Especially here as you, again, Creve Coeur Lake, back towards the Family Arena, back into St. Charles on Main Street. Let's see. Let's get to, there's a picture of Chesterfield right now. And you can see the torrential rains now moving into the valley. And you want to talk torrential rain, let's look at St. Charles. This is looking towards the Blanchette Bridge. And you can't even see the Blanchette Bridge. It's raining so hard. Here's our community cam up on Main Street. And what you notice here, because we've got a tree that's right in the bottom right, you see it bouncing around a little bit. So I don't think, it's not severe, it wouldn't be severe there, but that's still some pretty intense rainfall ongoing. Here's a look from the city and from 100 above the park, looking back to the west at the storm that has the warning on it as you go from Clayton on to the west. So you just got a lot going on here. So our showers and thunderstorms in and across the metro area right now, producing not only torrential rain, which is going to slow things down, but we're also looking at some gusty winds and embedded areas where it is a little more likely that you would see intense rainfall. And I think one of the areas that really stands out as being of concern right now is this area here that's right along the Missouri River between St. Louis and St. Charles counties. So, you know, this is the Harvester area up through 70 and the Blanchette Bridge, and then across the river through the floodplain, through Earth City Expressway, and down here through the Page Avenue Extension, Creve Coeur Park, and into Maryland Heights along 270. And this area really getting the drenching rain right now, and perhaps some pretty good gusty winds as well. Let's check and see what we've had so far. As far as wind, Spirit of St. Louis definitely has the heavy rain right now. So far, their maximum wind looks to be 26. Lambert has gusted 34, it looks like, with the storms, 35 miles per hour, and that's been about it there. Smartfield really hasn't had much. We do know over in Bethalto, when we had that storm over in Bethalto, we got a 44 mile per hour wind gust out of that. So Lambert right now, just the light rain being reported at Lambert, and they've only had, it looks like, about 0.08 of an inch there officially at the airport. But, you know, as we always like to say, nobody actually lives at the airport. And from the spotters that we've heard from this afternoon, Delwood, 1.6 inches of rain in an hour. If you're under these heavy cells in Maryland Heights, I mean, you're getting drenched right now. If you're under this along 70 here in St. Charles, you're getting drenched, 70 and 94, all the way from Lindenwood down through Harvester, just getting drenched at this moment. Greens Bottom, Tees Farm, getting drenched at the moment. Those storms are in the valley with some rain that's pretty intense. This is really going to slow things down on the roads this afternoon, too, until these storms diminish. Now, the good thing that this is doing for us is it's really knocking the temperatures down in the St. Louis area. So, Jim, I think our current temperatures, you know, have dropped back, what, low 80s?
Yeah, even Alton was at 75.
Yeah, Alton. Yeah, well, that's even better. Alton came in at 75.
Are also increasing. So again, Roger Brand reporting westbound 70.
Okay, yeah, a lot. I think we're going to see quite a few of those accidents. We did not get a jump in our outages in St. Charles County, so that's good. St. Louis County, we're up to 1,800. City of St. Louis at 70. So, you know, again, very localized on the winds here, and the severe weather threat, very much a localized scenario playing out. And now we're looking at the storms essentially merging here over Maryland Heights, Harvester, and St. Charles. And this is the area of greatest concern when it comes to the winds. And as we kind of look at some of the winds here, we'll pop this on. There's a little brighter red there that's pretty close to the arena, but that's only showing 35 to 40 miles per hour. This area around 70 and 270 is showing 30 to 40 miles per hour. So, you know, it's not overly extreme compared to what we would expect to see. And as we kind of broaden the view, we do have other thunderstorms we're tracking farther to our north here across northern Missouri, which we'll have to watch, because anytime you're putting down boundaries from storms, that tends to help fuel additional development. But I think what we've seen this afternoon around St. Louis, we really have seen them flare up along some of the boundaries that were left from the storms last night that drifted in from the northeast, and the boundary, even though the storms tended to fall apart early this morning, they leave those boundaries. And you see the outflows coming out of these storms. It's just those circles that are moving away. And they also instigate some new development. they're troublemakers. So that's what we have. So the severe thunderstorm warning till 4, in effect here for St. Louis County, especially West St. Louis County. And then you've got the flash flood warning up in the Litchfield area. Now, I'm also trying to monitor the Twitter feed. And, I haven't really seen a whole lot of information or, people tweeting out pictures of damage or anything like that. And that's a good thing. Again, we're at 1,800 on our storm outages in St. Louis County. So that's not terrible. And, if you're without power, it's terrible for you, but it's not a widespread power outage. But there's your broader perspective in just looking at these random storms as they pop up across the area. It's very interesting to just watch these evolve and continue this afternoon. So just quick check on the storm. So St. Louis County is now up to 2,500 outages, a little over 2,500 outages. St. Charles has not changed. So that does lend credence to the fact that this warning is in effect in St. Louis County, and that's where most of the outages are happening. Yeah. And, the rain is pretty much, well, it's right on the edge of the airport. And of course they have to reroute planes when it's like this. And then of course outside and away from the thunderstorms, it's, brutal. So we do have really the Maryland Heights area. There's a good 550 without power there. And then you've got some pockets here in Berkeley and Blackjack and Ferguson, Jennings. They're random power outages, very much on the random side here, with a couple of hundred here, a couple of hundred there. Even out into Ellisville, there's a few customers without power. And some of that may or may not be even storm related. So that's the way it is. But metro area, it looks like we're about 2,900 or so, I think, Jimmy. And most of that associated with this little area of storms here. I shouldn't say it's a little area. Relatively speaking, it's concentrated in the area along 270. And it's been, for the last hour, it's been pouring over 270. So you got to have 1.5 inches or 2 inches of rain out of this puppy. And I think we're probably pretty close to either having a flash flood warning or a flood advisory or something along those lines for areas that are right along the Missouri River here in St. Charles County and into northwestern portions of St. Louis County, because it is going to be a really slow go along 270 for sure. Let me see what some of our cameras are looking like. We showed you a few minutes ago what it looked like in St. Charles. It is still pouring in St. Charles right now, so still seeing the heavy rainfall. We're going to go down to Kirkwood. Kirkwood has generally missed out on most of it. You see a little bit of a breeze there as the trees are swaying a bit, but it certainly would not be indicative of any severe weather. And the Chesterfield Valley right now, we kind of scan around and you can see the traffic definitely much slower there as we are tracking those storms through the valley as well. And they do have some downpours and maybe some gusty winds, but in most cases the winds haven't been, at least the reported winds that we've seen haven't been more than 50 miles per hour. Now we do think there's 50 to 60 mile per hour winds at some point with these storms as the cores do collapse. And that's a look at the airport right now. And again, popping this back on from the look from Forest Park at 100 above the park, that's back looking towards the severe thunderstorm that's in effect, the warning that's in effect for Clayton and farther to the west from there. Yes, you can, Jeffrey. And so, we're tracking these storms. It looks like perhaps they have weakened slightly a little bit, but they're still putting down just copious amounts of rainfall here. And I think that's going to be, yeah. So you look with the severe thunderstorm warning, there's where it is. You know, includes St. Louis County till 4 o'clock. And so it's basically for this, the downburst winds associated with this storm. And we do know we have about 2,500 customers without power right now in St. Louis County. And that number has grown somewhat. And we know it is pouring along 270. You're not getting out of that. It is pouring along 70. Once you get from the airport to the west, the rain really, really picking up right now. Yeah, and a fair amount of cloud-to-ground lightning, too, when we add that on here. We are expecting, do we know anything on our, do we have anything on the 4? We're expecting a special report at 4 o'clock?
We'll be taking the special report when it becomes available.
Okay, so we don't know if it's actually going to hit.
It's supposed to start at 4 p.m., but I suspect that it will start a little bit after.
Right.
So we'll just be ready.
Well, we'll just be in storm alert then until we get ready to go to the president. How about that?
Is that what you would like?
I think that's what we could probably get away with that. So yeah, I mean that's a good place to start. And if it's going to look later, then we'll figure it out. But because I can go for a little bit,
Okay.
and then
I need to go make some changes.
yeah, but definitely have storm alert there at the top.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so here's a storm out in Warren County that's gone up between Innsbrook and Warrenton right now, and that's got a lot of lightning with it, and that core's come up pretty good here. Let's do a little slice through that. Yeah, that just kind of woof. So if we take a look at that, kind of look at it vertically, let's zoom out perhaps a little bit. Will it let us do that? Yeah. Also, now, Jimmy, look at this one. This one's gone up to 40,000 feet. So when this comes crashing down, that's a pretty good storm there. When that comes crashing down, that is going to create some problems. So, you know, there may be a warning that comes out on that storm here in a few minutes as well. Let's, yeah, and then you got storms all over the place. So the broader perspective here shows that, you know, a lot of the area is not seeing rain, but those of us that are seeing a huge amount of it very quickly. So let's just do a quick little tour. And there's a new severe thunderstorm warning for that storm that we were just talking about out in Warren County. And actually, because that cell's gone up just southwest of Troy, both of those will have the potential to create some significant winds too, as they both are intensifying cores right now. And I think it's really going to be basically a wind scenario. Isolated wind gusts here that will push 50 to 60 miles per hour. Now, into the city, we're starting to see some of that rain get close to and into Forest Park, it looks like right now. Let's go just take a quick look. There's the airport, and you can see it is raining right now at Lambert, but it does look like the heaviest rain is just to the south of the airport at the moment, which seems logical. So our severe thunderstorm warning here until 4 o'clock for St. Louis County. And the storm is showing signs of weakening, but I can only imagine how much rain has fallen. And you know, here's the deal, Jimmy, you know this. The amount of rain that falls is underestimated by this particular thing. Yeah, and you know, but that's where the severe thunderstorm warning. But from Maryland Heights right, you know, through Olivet and to U City, you know, that is where we're really, really looking at some of that intense rainfall right now. So here we go. We've got 3 warnings. There's a severe thunderstorm warning in St. Louis County that expires in about 10 minutes. We have a new severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect until 4:30, and that includes the southwest corner of Lincoln County, as well as Warren, much of Warren County. And then we have that flash flood warning that's in effect until 6:45 tonight, and that's for the area east of Litchfield. So, and again, the biggest threat from these, outside of the fact that I think we're looking at, you're definitely looking at some small stream and urban flooding here. You've got to be in these poor drainage areas of West St. Louis County and out around Maryland Heights. The rain gauge has got to be, darn near overflowing in some of these places. So, I'm just kind of checking here to see if we're seeing anything on any of our feeds. Ooh. You're okay. So, yeah, Innsbruck to Hawk Point. Those are your... Now remember, we had about, 2,800 customers in St. Louis County. So we're about 2,500 customers in St. Louis County without power, still at 44 in St. Louis County. Warren County and Lincoln County don't have any reported outages right now. So we're going to watch and see if that changes, because that's where you have your 2 cells here, going from Innsbruck back up between Warrenton and Wright City, and then this cell that's just between Hawk Point and Troy that just went up as the outflow went through, and that was what kind of fueled that. So those 2 cells will probably end up merging together somewhere in the vicinity of the Warren-Lincoln County line, maybe around or just north of Wright City. And when that happens, and then when it starts to collapse, you'll have the potential of putting down some strong winds as well. Then back into the metro area, this thing looks like it's about raining itself out, not before drenching much of this region of northwest St. Louis County. And I'm going to try to get... yeah, Richmond Heights and Maplewood, lightning out along 40. I'm going to look...
That southern part of it looks like it's growing a little bit, near 100 and 170.
So I'm looking for this. There's a spot out here. It looks like it's in Town and Country, between Town and Country and Chesterfield, that's showing me about 0.6 of an inch of rain so far. The interesting that the creek must not. We've got some weather stations that show up here as weather stations, but they're not giving me precip totals. So they are showing me, though, that the temperatures are down into the 70s under this heavy rain. So that's really good news. But I'm not getting a lot of rain reports. Looks like Spirit had 2,400s on the last check. And then I kind of look here over in the area around Creve Coeur and back over towards... Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to look here up in North County, and I'm not seeing... I'm not seeing a lot. Bell Fountain Neighbors, 5,800ths of an inch. But we did get that one report in North County where 1.6 inches. And that was up in Delwood. Delwood had 1.6 inches. So, yeah. And so still, Lincoln and Warren counties, despite the fact that we had that severe thunderstorm warning in effect out there, the storms over St. Louis County are going to start weakening now. And I don't know, I think the air's kind of been worked over somewhat. So maybe not a lot of redevelopment. Yeah. All right, so let's add this. So we are getting ready for the 4 o'clock news, but here's the thing with the 4 o'clock news. We also have a special report coming up with the president on, I'm pretty sure it's on Afghanistan and the situation that's been evolving there. And so I don't know how much of an actual newscast we're going to end up seeing as we go through the next hour or so. But there are your, just kind of checking those out. Yeah. Yeah, it's been kind of a crazy busy day, hasn't it, Jim? Save as a new scene, and we're going to add the lightning in there. Yeah, I think they've expired it. Yeah, they're not gonna. They didn't cancel it. They just expired it, so it still stays until 4. Yeah, because they didn't actually do a cancellation, but basically it's canceled because, you know, the storm is weakened. So that's where we are. All right, now I'm going to turn my attention out here. We're kind of switching up the show a little bit here. For those of you watching on Facebook, I'll give you another picture here. If you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook, we do have the flash flood warning in effect until 6:45, Montgomery County, Illinois. We have severe thunderstorm warning expiring for St. Louis County. We have the severe thunderstorm warning that is now in effect for Warren and into Lincoln counties. And you see the storms to the south of St. Louis down into Crawford and Washington County kind of fizzling out, which is a little bit of a surprise because this is one of those areas where we tend to see a little more of the action. In fact, Crawford County actually has 153 people being without power right now. So let's just quick look there. And let's see. All right, so yeah, so we've got these storms in the metro area. You're looking at the airport right now. We'll give you back that and into the metro. This is really what we've been watching. Oh, wow. California has a bunch out. I had 2 states just suddenly turn yellow, Michigan and Minnesota and California. Yeah, so. So let's do, oh. It might be because of the fires out there. I'm just going to look at Illinois. Illinois has a few power outages, but Madison County, Montgomery County 81, Macoupin none, Madison 36. So, you know, it really is on the Missouri side. And Ameren's reporting about 3,100 customers without power right now. And that seems to mostly be in the St. Louis area. You can see the clouded ground lightning really right over, well, from Plaza Frontenac to the Galleria. Your shopping impacted today by these strong thunderstorms. And let's see if we can get us. The yellow will go away when the clock on the thing says 4, yeah. I can talk to you, but yes, I am still on Facebook. What would you like to do? Yes, I'm talking to Michelle, our producer. Okay. Okay. And you, yeah, let me just, I mean, if it just comes up really fast, yeah, I think we can do that. So, and the people on Facebook and YouTube know we've been chatting. So they do know we're expecting a special report. All right, so, you know, all right, so Michelle Lee is anchoring with us today. It's all going to be good. Okay, so we're getting ready to start the 4 o'clock news here for those of you watching.
St. Louis Metro Skywarn Net is now closed down.
Okay. I'm surprised that they did not, yeah.
Oh, okay. So Wentzville people are hearing the thunder, but there's no rain.
Breaking news out of Kabul this evening. The death toll continues to rise in an attack near the Kabul airport. The Pentagon confirms that 11 Marines and a Navy medic were killed in that explosion. 15 more people were also hurt in the attack. 2 suicide bombers said gunmen attacked crowds of Afghans trying to leave the country. U.S. officials say ISIS-K is responsible for the attack. Now, an Afghan official says at least 60 Afghans were killed and another 143 were hurt. This was all happening as evacuation sites continue to take off from the airport. Now, we are waiting for President Biden to give us an update. We will be taking an NBC special report when that happens, so stay tuned, everyone. In the meantime, thanks for joining us. I'm Michelle Lee. We've got so much to get to. K-Point is off tonight. We're going to have more, again, on this crisis in Afghanistan in just a moment. But we are in storm alert because storms have started popping up after another dangerously hot day in the bi-state. We've got workers who've been braving the heat to continue construction on the MLS Stadium in St. Louis. But with that heat advisory, now it's been extended. Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell is tracking the heat and those storms for us tonight. You've been very busy this afternoon.
Yeah, it's been pretty busy this afternoon, but the one good thing about the storms is they have backed the temperatures down into the 70s and lower 80s in the areas where we've seen them. The bad news is some of us have seen some exceptional amounts of rain, maybe 2 to 3 inches in a few cases, and we've also been dealing with these storms causing some damaging winds and some scattered power outages. One severe thunderstorm warning, and that is for this cell that is back across portions of Lincoln and into Warren County, and we will get to that in just a minute. But the other area we were watching, and the warning just expired over the heavily populated metro area here of West St. Louis County, out along 4064, out along 70, especially from Maryland Heights down 270. A lot of reports of standing water on 270 earlier. It is going to be a slow commute because of that heavy rainfall, but that storm is weakening. These, though, are pretty intense. From Innsbrook up through Wright City and just to the east and southeast of Hawk Point, those storms have a severe thunderstorm warning associated with them. And then you look to the northeast of St. Louis. Our other warning that we have right now is this flash flood warning up in Montgomery County, Illinois. We have that warning in effect because we saw several inches of rain earlier on this afternoon, and so we're draining that. Now, we had 1.6 inches reported in Delwood in about an hour when the storms were in North County, and now that they've slid to the south and southwest, we expect to see 1.5 inches to 2 or more inches of rain, but really haven't gotten a lot of reports of it from areas like Overland, back into the Maryland Heights area and south of Bridgeton, and maybe even out towards Harvester in St. Charles County. But to be sure, the strongest storms right now are here in Lincoln County and into Warren County. These storms are continuing to grow, and when we do a little bit of a cross section of these storms, especially this cell that's up here into Lincoln County continuing to grow, you see how tall it is at about 40,000, 45, 50,000 feet up. That's how high the rain is getting, and maybe even some small hail. What happens is when that huge amount of rain that's in that cloud finally starts to break down and the whole storm starts to collapse, what we end up seeing are wind gusts of 50 to 60 miles per hour, and subsequently we see scattered power outages. Now, we've been checking on the power outages this afternoon, and around the St. Louis metro area, we have about 3,000 customers that Ameren is reporting without power. Most of those power outages are scattered, and they are in St. Louis County. There are very few in the remaining counties around St. Louis. St. Charles had about 44, 45, still looking at a negligible number of power outages out into Warren and Lincoln County, at least for the moment. That's subject to change as these storms continue to develop and evolve. So for the time being, southwestern portions of Lincoln County and into western, central, northern portions of Warren County here, a good chunk of Warren County, Innsbrook to Warrenton to Wright City up to Troy, just east of Hawk Point. You have the severe thunderstorm warning there. And be prepared for winds that will gust 50 to perhaps 60 miles per hour. We'll be staying in storm alert here through the remainder of the afternoon as these storms percolate. Areas that have already seen storms, you're probably not going to get another round of them. Things settle down, but we have to watch, especially north and west of St. Louis, all those boundaries from the storms that exist right now, creating additional problems. Michelle?
All right, thanks, Scott. Well, let's get back to our top story tonight as we wait for the president. 12 U.S. military service members killed in an attack in Afghanistan. Here's a map of where those two explosions happened. You can see the Abbey Gate and the Barron Hotel near the runway there. The Abbey Gate is the main entryway into the international airport.
Okay.
The hotel is used as a checkpoint and staging area before going into the Abbey Gate. We are again waiting for President Biden to address the nation about the attack. The explosions come days before the August 31st deadline to get Americans out of Afghanistan. NBC's Tracy Potts reports on the possibility of another attack.
All right, for those of you on Facebook, you also can be watching our newscast. So we're going to stop the stream for now and go ahead and just do our newscast. The president will be along in a little bit for another